What is up? Welcome back to the Fit 40 podcast, where we simplify exercise and nutrition for busy parents 40 plus so they can improve their health and feel amazing. I'm your host, Brian Fitzsimmons, and today we're going to be talking about one of the best concepts to think about when you are training, and that is the concept of not always setting a personal best or personal record. Now, I know I've done a lot of podcasts talking about why you should aim to set a personal best each time and keep improving, but we're going to provide a little bit of nuance so that you can get the best results possible and feel your best. But before we do that, go ahead and make sure that you are following or you are subscribed wherever you're watching or listening so that way you don't miss another episode going forward. So let's get into it. This topic comes from my client, Marsha. Me and Marsha have been working together for going on I want to say 7 or 8 years at this point. So we've seen her make incredible strides and get really strong and feel really good and improve her blood work in many different ways. And we're at the point now where she's a little bit seasoned as far as training age goes. And when that happens, this also brings a lot of other things that we need to take into account, which is number one, the fact that you're not going to see that same rate of progress that you do in the beginning. And this is a bit of a downer for a lot of people when they hit this point in their training journey. They're like, well, I was adding 5 pounds to the bar or doing another repetition or feeling incredible every single session on repeat over and over and over again. And then all of a sudden it started slowing down. And then they feel like they're doing something wrong or they are missing something. And then it turns into this thing where it's like you go down the biohacking rabbit hole or fall into one of these groups that are like, we're going to solve your problem. But in reality, it's just something normal that happens. It's an adaptation from your body. So basically what we want to try and think about is, okay, how can we make progress without pushing to that point where we're doing so much work to the point where we possibly get injured or our progress completely stalls? And the one big thing that I tried to get her to really embrace, and honestly, she did a better job of kind of communicating with me as to what she needed, and it ended up being the solution rather than me saying, hey, you should think about this, is that when it comes to setting personal best, sometimes you're just going to do it on one thing that day. So with Marsha, she only works out with me 2 times a week. And just so you know, that is plenty to see really, really good results if you do it correctly. And we do full body workouts. So she's hitting every muscle group on her body twice a week, which again, that is exactly how you should be doing it if you're doing it intelligently. This is why body part splits and only doing 2 or 3 days of them don't work out well, because you're doing chest day, back day, leg day, and then your kid gets sick or you have a project from work that gets in the way of your workout and then you miss an entire muscle group. So full body for 2 to 3 days out of the week is what works for most people, at least in my experience, who work normal jobs, have normal families. So that's why we do it with Marsha. Now, with Marsha, she on this particular day, because it happened this morning, we have a setup. So she does squats first and then does a cable press and then does an RDL and then she does a cable row and does this all out of her garage gym. And basically, when it came to the squats, they looked really, really hard, high effort. And it just looked like, okay, this is probably her max for the day. Like, let's just keep it where it is and try and maintain our results. And then when it came time for the press, she looked really, really good doing 45 pounds. So I'm like, you know what? Let's bump it up. Let's go to 50. And she's like, yep, sounds good. It's going to be hard, but we'll do it. Marsha's really positive in that way. It makes my job easy. And then when it came to the RDLs, it looked overly hard. And I'm like, but we're getting 10, which means we could get 5. And I kind of posed the question like, all right, I can't even say I posed the question. I said, let's go up 5 pounds. And she's like, sorry, coach, not happening today. And I'm like, hey, I trust you. I know when you say no, that means probably not a good idea. So we chilled right there. And then when it came to the rows, it was kind of like the press. It looked really good. And I'm like, let's go up 5 pounds. So she ended up doing 50 for the press and the row. So that 50 on the press and row was a new personal best for her, which was awesome. And she actually ended up getting 10, even though I tell all the clients, like when we have a repetition range of 10, that really means 5 to 10. So aim for 5 when you increase the weight, and then anything past 5 is bonus points. And if you get 10, we're going up in weight. Really simple way to control for how heavy you should be going. And when she did this, it worked out really well with the upper body. But the lower body, I tried saying, let's do a little more. And she's like, no, 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 I'm good. And then it turns out that by the time we got done with our 3 sets, she ended up pretty much being in right where we wanted to be. A little tired, a little overly tired, if I'm being honest, to the point where I don't think we should have pushed it quite that hard. Maybe could have like dialed it down a little bit and weight on the lower body stuff. And then we acclimated and did a cardio session that was very light, very easy to try and help her recover a little bit faster instead of doing the normal hard cardio. But all this to say that when you just focus on improving one area, like if you can get one PR, awesome. That is really, really good. And if it's just one body part and not all of them, that's totally okay. And along with that, if you could maintain, like let's say you don't even go up in weight or add a repetition, if you could just maintain and then feel better when you leave, that's a really good sign that you're building muscle, getting stronger, and possibly your cardiorespiratory system is improving. If you're doing like circuit style or even not circuit style, like it could just be straight sets as well, where you just do one exercise after the other, but you feel like you're not gasping for air in between sets and you feel good. That could also be a sign that all that good stuff is happening as well. So just make sure that you're doing whatever your body is able to do that day and have some parameters to work in. Like when we have those rep ranges, 5 to 10, if you can hit in between that range, call it a win. Okay. If you're hitting that point where the weight is slowing down and you're not sure if that next rep is going to go up and you just cut it right there, that is a stimulating set. And that's going to get you closer to building muscle and thicker bones. All right, that'll do it. And the goal is not to overdo it to the point where your recovery just can't catch up. Because if you're a parent, if you've got a normal job, if you've got a lot of stress in your life, your recovery is a lot smaller than like a teenager or somebody in their 20s that can bounce right back the next day, that can sleep in until noon. Okay, it's just not going to be the same. So don't hold those same standards as when you were younger or what you see on social media. Do what you can with what you got and what is most appropriate for your body. But to figure that out, you kind of got to learn exactly what your body can do and have a professional lay eyes on it, ideally. But just keep these tips in mind when you're doing your workouts, and hopefully this will help you keep yourself in a really good place and not get injured, not overwork yourself over time. All right. So sorry, this was a little bit of a quick hit today, not as long as the normal ones, because to be totally honest, I am in between calls when it comes to getting the scholarship people, the full scholarship and the couple of partials that I gave out, getting them all set up and ready to go. So a little bit busy this week, but I wanted to get you guys something that can be valuable, that can be useful going into, I guess this is Thursday, so it'll be like going into next week. All right. So hope you found this helpful. I'll see you guys next week for another awesome episode. But until then, go kick some ass. I'll see you later.